Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Annalisa and this is Homemade Sunshine. So March is upon us, which means that yard sale season will be starting up soon. I've got some excellent tips to kind of help you up your yard sale game. So I've been yard selling since birth, so 24 years. My mom used to just, cart me around with her everywhere to all the yard sales. So I feel like I've learned a lot from her. And then there's been a lot of updates, with technology and phones since that time also. I mean, my mom used to take the back of an empty blank envelope and would write out our list as to where we were going. And that woman basically knew where everything was, like all over our city, town. Like I felt like she just knew where every place was. I'm sure she map quested things and stuff like that for directions sometimes, but she pretty much knew where everything was. And a lot harder than now where we've got, GPS and you can have it in your phone notes. And so things have definitely changed. But my first most basic tip is, where do you find your yard sales? Which for me, I mostly use Craigslist. I feel like that's the best place to find yard sales. That's the site that most people use. Second to that would be Facebook Marketplace. I think that's becoming more and more popular, especially with younger people. But I think the older crowd still mostly uses Craigslist, and that's what I prefer to use because it feels like that's like the standard, where everybody puts their yard sales. So that would be where I would start with looking. And next is, how do we select our yard sales? Because if you live in a major metropolis, you probably have like hundreds of yard sales on the weekends, especially if you're in the South. I don't know if everywhere does yard sales. You'll have to leave me a comment below if your area doesn't do yard sales, because I would be very curious. I'm sure like Alaska doesn't do yard sales, but maybe they do. I just don't know. Maybe that's an incorrect assumption. But first, I would say you need to look at the descriptions and see if it's actually going to be a sale that you're going to want to go to. Like, what are the things that are on your wish list that you want to get? Like, types of sales that I wouldn't go to right now in my stage of life would be yard sales that have a lot of baby stuff, because I don't have a baby, or kids' clothes, don't have any kids. But if you're a mom, especially of multiple children, then those are going to be the kind of sales that you're going to be like, oh yes, they're going to have kid stuff. I don't like a lot of like man stuff yard sales, tools and sports equipment and stuff like that, I always look to see if there's any yard sales that are going to have things that my husband would like, and then that'll usually encourage him if he wants to come with me on my, treks on Saturdays. I would also say you need to look at Google Maps for parking. I would not say that I am an excellent parker. Like, I'm not very good at parking. I used to drive a yellow bug, and that sucker was easy to whip in and out of parking places. I will sometimes not go to a sale if the parking is really bad. The best is a neighborhood with a cul-de-sac. Oh my gosh, that's like the dream parking, with like wide streets, like the newer developments, how they design them now with like extra wide streets, easy to park. You'll see a sale and you'll be like, there's no way I can park here. So don't waste your time going to the sale and then finding out you can't park. You type in the address into Google Maps and do the Google Street View and kind of see, like, is this off a major road? Like, is there gonna be anywhere to park? Because I've seen people before where I'm like, where the heck am I supposed to park for this? You're off a major road and like, they have like this teeny tiny driveway. I'm like, where am I gonna park? So I would definitely recommend that, because the last thing you want to do is drive like 25 minutes to a sale and then figure out there's nowhere to park and then you're frustrated. Next, I would say, not everybody posts photos on their listings, which I wish that more people did. Always post photos of your stuff. That really lets people know if you're gonna have things that they actually want. But if it's a moving sale specifically, check Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever, any of those sites. If they say they're moving, and odds are they've probably already sold their house, the pictures are likely still online. So you can really like look through their whole house and see, like, do your design styles match up? Especially if they're selling furniture. Like if they put in the listing they're selling couches. Well, look at the couches in their house. If it doesn't look like a couch that you would ever want to put in your home, then you know that you're not going to want to go there. That has saved me from a sale many a time, where they're like, oh, we're moving, we've got couches, and like, they don't say that they're couches, those like, what era even did this? Like those floral couches that like everybody's Nana had, like these big, bright, old florals that are just not very in style at the moment. So you can really save yourself some headache. And then sometimes you'll see it and then you'll be like, oh, their house is gorgeous. I want to go there. They're going to have the best stuff. And you'll be right. I've done that many, many times. And it's good to kind of see even like a vibe for like what kind of a neighborhood are they in. Is this like, you hate to say it, is this a really bougie house? Is this like somebody's big expensive house that they're going to be having a yard sale at, and you're going to be like, oh man, I might really find some like expensive, fancy, nice stuff here. That's not always the case. Some people live in really expensive houses and their stuff's not that nice, but you know, anyways. If there are photos, look to see if you can zoom in on the prices. Recently, I looked at a sale and I was like, oh, this might look nice. And then I saw the price for a decorative lantern was $40. And I was like, oh, so antique store pricing is what we're doing here. This is not like, I would say like my normal like cheap yard selling prices. And I was like, okay, not for me. Moving right along. Now maybe that lantern would have been worth it to you, but not to me. Not for something that's just gonna sit on a shelf. I didn't feel like that was worth it in my book. Next, I would say you have to really plan your route. You need to select a number of yard sales that's reasonable. 10 yard sales is probably not reasonable unless you're in a neighborhood sale. Neighborhood sales are probably the best because you're gonna be able to hit the most individual houses in one fell swoop. I would much rather go to one neighborhood yard sale than to go to 5 different people's yard sales that all live 10 minutes apart from each other. You also need to prioritize where do you want to go first, because wherever you go first is going to have the best selection, and nothing is worse than showing up to a yard sale and seeing somebody cart off a bunch of things that you really wish you'd wanted and you wish you'd gotten. I had that happen this fall where I got to a yard sale late and she was selling off stuff so cheap. She had Longaberger baskets for like $1. She was selling handmade quilts for like $5. And I was like, you know, mind blown. I was like, no! I like saw these people like walking off with this stuff and I was like, why didn't I show up earlier? So, just goes to show. You get what you get and you don't pitch a fit. That's what my mom always said. Get what you get, you don't pitch a fit. Because it's not your turn to get that stuff. So you'll just have to wait till next time. Use Google Maps to plan your route. So what I usually do is I'll take, 5, 6, 7, 8 yard sales and I'll plug them into my GPS and see, well, first just type in one address and just hit directions. And then you can add individually all the sales after that and optimize the route. And sometimes, honestly, that'll make me get rid of a sale. Like if there's one sale that's just like out, like 30 minutes away from all the other ones, I'll be like, I'll look at the sale again and be like, was the sale super great? And is it worth it for me to go all this much further to that one? Or should I stay with the 5 that are like really tightly, within 15-minute radius of each other? Most of the time I stay with the 15-minute radius. Because the likelihood that you're gonna make it all the way out there after you've shopped the sales that are all in this one cluster is very low. Very slim chances. So you have to prioritize your time and your resources, especially with how expensive gas prices are right now. You gotta really prioritize where you're actually gonna go. Also, when you're picking where you're gonna go first, check the times. I cannot tell you how many times you almost forget. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go here first. And that sale doesn't start till 10, whereas the other 4 sales start at 8. So you want to pick which sale you want to go to the most first, like I said, but if that sale's not starting till 10 and the other ones start at 8 and 9, then you should go to one of the earlier ones first. Don't wait till 10 and then the other sale that's been open for 2 hours, they're not going to have a whole ton of super great stuff left necessarily. You really need to go in with somewhat of a game plan of what you really are looking for your house. Kind of, some people advise to make a list, which I think that's good, just to kind of like write it all out, get it all out there, like what are you looking for, what do you need? But then also be open to what things you find that are just out there, super cool, you never knew you needed. My mom and I went to a yard sale near-ish to where I live, in my yard selling radius of 30 minutes. And there was this big, beautiful iron thing. Like, we didn't really know what it was used for, but it was all like twisted up through the middle parts, and it had little birds, acorns coming off of it. It was gorgeous. $25 for it. And I was like, we should just get it. And I was like, you don't know where you're going to use it, but you should get it. And we came up with the idea of my mom putting it in front of her fireplace. Looks great. It's amazing. we would have never have thought like, oh, I want to get something to put in front of my fireplace. But it really, you know, jazzes up that area right there, and it looks really, really good. So you have to keep an open mind too. I usually don't go in thinking another yard sale. I went and got a lot of really pretty like costume jewelry from like Loft, and I think it was mostly Loft pieces. Maybe a couple of J. Crew or something like that. Like, that wasn't what I was looking for, because normally you don't find that good of jewelry at a yard sale, but I was like, nah, I love it. It's beautiful, but I wouldn't have not gotten it because it wasn't on my list. So you kind of have to, it's a fine line to dance, because when you go to a yard sale, it's not like going to Target and you've got your list of things you need to get. You know, they're not necessarily gonna have mugs. You might go to Target and be like, oh yeah, I wanna get a new mug. That's not how yard sales work. So, you know, you're up to the mercy of whatever that person has decided to put out to sell. And it's good to think about each person in your family about what they would want. You know, what are some things that your husband might need in his wardrobe? Like, you know, new pants or a jacket. You can also, if it's difficult for you to remember, keep a list of sizes in your phone. Like, I buy for myself, my mom, my brother, my husband, and my dad. That's 5 people. So I have the boys' sizes in my phone. I've pretty much got them memorized now as to like who wears what. But pant sizes will sometimes I'll forget who wears like, you know, what length and what waist measurement for men. So it's good to keep that in your mind when you're looking for stuff. I've found my husband a lot of really nice, he likes those like Under Armour workout short sleeve shirts. And so, I mean, they're normally like, what, $20, $25 each, I think? I don't know. I don't think I've ever bought him one new. I always buy them at yard sales for like $1 or $2. I got him a really nice Nike one for $1 at a yard sale. It smelled because it was from the woman's teenage son, but all I did was wash it. I think probably her son just threw it out there when she said get rid of the stuff that's too small, and probably just dirty from his floor. But, you know, some good old-fashioned vinegar and laundry detergent, smells come right out. I would also recommend, as another big tip, is to lay out your clothes the night before, and lay out your children's clothes the night before if you're going to be taking them along with you. So you need to really make sure you've got everything set up so your morning goes smoothly. So lay out your own clothes, you know, your shoes, your outfit, your handbag. I also, speaking of handbag, I recommend either I carry a small backpack or a small crossbody. Do not bring your gigantic tote bag with you. This is not the time. This is time for something small, because you're gonna need to be carrying stuff in your hands and trying to also like maneuver a giant tote bag. It's gonna be a nightmare. So just trust me, do a crossbody, do a small backpack, save yourself the headache. And have an easy to go breakfast if you're a breakfast person. You know, whether that's like, I mean, honestly, whatever you eat in the morning, whether it's like yogurt and granola, or you're just gonna have cereal this morning, make sure you have something quick so you're just like up and ready to go. You know, have your coffee ready, have your everything laid out so you can just eat breakfast, get dressed, you know, brush your teeth, all that stuff, and just hit the road. Because if you don't, you know, get moving, you know, somebody might get there first and claim, you know, find something that you're really wanting. So I would say my biggest tip would be to make sure you get cash. Do not wait till the morning of to get cash. Go to the ATM and get cash. Well, I would say even better than the ATM, you're gonna need to have low bills. So go to your actual bank location and pull out a multitude of like 1s, 5s, 10s, maybe a couple 20s. Because most of the time when you're going to a yard sale, you're not gonna spend like $60. Usually you're spending like $5 to $10 on just like little things at each sale. Like, I'll kind of give you a rundown of like the last big neighborhood sale I went to before winter struck and all the yard sales were over. So I went to one yard sale and I think I spent, oh gosh, $3. I got a 10-pound kettlebell and a bunch of yard flags. So I was like, less than $5. You need to have ones for that. Another yard sale, I bought 3, what are these called? Bath mats. I'm right beside my bathroom. 3 bath mats. It was $1 a bath mat. That was $3. That was the only thing I found at that yard sale because they mostly had big furniture. I wasn't looking for furniture. Another yard sale, I spent $8. I got a couple of pieces of men's clothing for my husband and I got a bag for myself. So you're not necessarily gonna spend like gobs of money at one sale. So you need to have those low bills because you can't rely on the seller to have, you know, a breakdown of the smaller bills. They should, but they don't always. And the further the day goes on, you know, the less likely they are to have those small bills. Heck, even get some quarters, because I've seen stuff, you know, people selling things for a quarter, and what if you only find 75 cents worth and it's not $1? So make sure you have the cash before the morning hits, because nothing is worse than trying to find an ATM and then you have all these 20s and you have no low bills. Even better is if you do go and like you only get 20s. What my mom used to do is we would like stop every time we would go somewhere. She would make sure to try to spend those $20 bills and break them up into smaller amounts. Like say you're going through a drive-through, pay with the cash, get the small bills, like, or if you're just going and getting, you know, you're purchasing small things in person, make sure you're breaking down all those big 20s, or even heck, I would never bring a $50 or $100 bill to a yard sale. Mostly just 20s. Unless you're looking for furniture, then maybe I would say that would be fine. So yeah, those are my yard sale tips for the night before. I hope you guys find some good tips, and then leave your tips down below. Maybe you've thought of something that I haven't that could bless the other members of this community. And hope you guys have some happy yard sale hunting, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.